Now, very few people know what it's like to be detained at length in China, but Canadians Kevin Garratt and his wife certainly do. Now, Kevin and Julia were held back in 2014. They were accused of spying by China. And earlier, I did speak with Kevin, and he shared his reaction to the release of both Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor.
It's a great, great day. And I know there's a huge relief, not only in their families, but in the government and around the world and around with all Canadians. And we felt part of that because, we were very involved in our case, of course, but also praying for them and just so thankful that they're home and can take some time now just to decompress, really, and it'll take some time.
What is it like to return back home after being detained in the People's Republic? Again, you and your wife had your own experiences around that. Was it difficult? Was it rejoiceful? What was it like to come back home after that period of time in detention?
In some ways, it was a bit surreal because it happened very suddenly. Probably it did for them as well. But getting back, I was so happy. We landed in Vancouver. My wife, my kids, my grandkids were there, and it was a tremendous reunion. But then you realize, life is back to normal, and you're so used to the regiment in prison that it's hard to readjust. It takes a lot of time. But very happy. I was very happy to be home, that's for sure, and to get a good cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to your time in detention, though, because as we know, the two Michaels spent over 1,000 days in a Chinese prison. What was it like to be in there? Did you ever have an idea that people were fighting for your release? Did you ever lose hope that people were, in fact, fighting for you?
I had an idea because I had consular visits once a month for 30 minutes. So I kept hearing things like, this is the government's top of the agenda. Lots of people are working on this, but it didn't change where I was or what was happening. But I kept hearing news like that hundreds of thousands of people are praying for me. And I knew that was true, and I found out far more when I got out. But you do at times lose hope for moments, not days, not months, nothing like that. But, what helped for me was I got into a routine of reading and praying and talking with the other inmates, because I had lots of people who passed through my cell. And I understand they had routines as well, which really helped to essentially pass the time and keep you sane. And that's really important.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you could share with us the type of conditions you were under, because a lot has been done in terms of comparison to what Meng Wanzhou had to do under house arrest, again, in a Vancouver mansion where she was allowed to go shopping and go to restaurants. Compare that to what you had in China and what the two Michaels had in China for nearly 3 years.
Well, as an understatement, it was a little different than Meng Wanzhou's. My cell was about 15 paces by 6.5. There were 14 wooden cots, wooden beds in it. So 14, sometimes 15, 16 inmates. So you kind of have to share a little bit. There's a narrow aisle, just a width, person's width down the middle that you can go up and down on. There's a bathroom in the corner that's glass enclosed. There's a hole in the floor, one sink, one shower over the toilet. And that's what 14 or 15 of you have to live with. You do everything you need to do in the bathroom is there. You do your laundry in the sink with cold water. You have a little outdoor area, what I call the cage. And I would think for Michael Spavor it would be the same because he was in the same prison. And they let you out into that area. It's supposed to be twice a day. It never was. Never on weekends, never on holidays. And sometimes during the week it wasn't either. Food is slopped into a hole in the metal door, into a bucket. You pay for your food. Everything is paid for there. So money has to come from outside. No privacy. There's guards. There's cameras watching you all the time. Never a moment's privacy at all.
Mm-hmm. Again, very different than what Meng had here in Canada. Yeah. So, at this point, you say it's going to take them a while to readjust to life in Canada. What was that like for you?
When I got back, you kind of expect things to jump back to a normal that you remember. But that normal is 2 years ago. For me, it was 775 days. And you have to adjust. iPhones jumped 3 generations. What happened there? And, all those things. And it just takes you a lot of time because you're living under a pressure and a tension that you don't really realize for those, for the Michaels over 1,000 days. and it's going to take a lot of time to decompress. And I would encourage them to take that time to walk in the park, to have fun with family, to have a big Thanksgiving dinner with family and friends, and do normal things. That's what helped me. Just talking to people, going for meals, going for coffees, walks in the park, all those kind of things really help. And yeah, I know the media wants to know what's going on, what they're thinking, but they need time to process. And what they think today probably will be a little bit different in a few days or a couple months.
Well, what was striking was to hear from Michael Kovrig's sister saying that what he wants to do the most is to look at a tree.
Yeah.
Which really gives you an idea of the type of isolation and desolation that they face for over 1,000 days.
Yeah. I fully understand that because, from my cell, when they let us out into the cage, I could look up to the right and see one tree on a hill. That's what I could see. So the nature, grass, trees, that was super important for me as well.
Mm-hmm. At this point, many Canadians are debating what our relationship with the People's Republic should be going forward. We know that the two Michaels were held hostage to try to get Meng Wanzhou back to the People's Republic. She has now signed this deferral agreement with the United States, which has allowed for her release and the two Michaels to return. But what should Canada's relationship be with China right now? Is it an opportunity, or is it a cautionary tale about getting involved with that country?
I think we have to be cautious. I think, China is not going to change. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens again in the future, this hostage diplomacy. I think we have to take our security serious, and we have to realize, we can work with China, but we need to be cautious when we do. And, security is of utmost importance, I think.
Kevin, thank you for that. Kevin Garratt in Vancouver.